How to start aquaponics. This is what we're going to see together in this video. My name is Jonathan and I am here to help you to build your own aquaponics setup and to manage it in the best conditions. So when we talk about aquaponics, we got different options. We have different types of aquaponics setup. So we got the deep water culture, you know that the raft that we see, raft culture. And this one is very well adapted to big aquaponics setup like commercial systems. Then you got the NFT, neutral film technique, which is basically growing food, growing plants into a pipe. And finally, we got the grow bed aquaponics. So that's what I got here behind me. I got different grow bed aquaponics setup. And that's what we're going to focus on today, because today we're going to talk about how to start your own aquaponics system, how to build your own aquaponics system, and what are the first steps basically to reach self-sufficiency, or at least to reach a nice food production, a production of food that is sustainable, healthy and tasty, and that is made in your own backyard. So in grow bed aquaponics, we got the setup by itself, such as the one I have behind me. But then we can add different elements. We can add filters, we can add a sump tank, and it's all different things that we can add to the system to improve the system and to improve the efficiency and the sustainability of the system. But right now, what I want to tell you is how to really start aquaponics. What are the first steps to really start growing some food in your backyard? So the first thing to do is to get the free guide, which is a 6-step process to build your own setup. It's in the description of this video and in the description of most of my videos. And here you're going to have some very specific information. You need to know what are the fish expectations. You need to understand what is the basic principle of aquaponics and all the different ratios to respect. So you download this guide, and then we're going to see the other steps one by one to build your own aquaponics. So this video is for you if you feel like you want to start aquaponics but you don't know where to start, you feel that you miss some confidence and you are scared to make a mistake, or also if you have built your own aquaponics setup but if you made a mistake, if you have a failure, and basically if you killed your fish or if it's not working as you want. So just follow this video and I'm going to give you the steps to really succeed at aquaponics. Aquaponics is not so difficult, but you really need to understand some very basics, to get the basics of aquaponics before starting. Otherwise, you're going to have some challenges. Either you're going to kill your fish, either you're going to waste money, or you're going to waste time. So I see too many beginners who start with the wrong design or wrong media, and unfortunately they have to redo the whole setup, so it costs a lot of money, a lot of time, and after a while sometimes they get bored with it, to always have to change things. So it's good to start on good base. So I will do my best to keep this video short. So if you really want to start, if you are serious and you are really interested by aquaponics, really get the free training in the description of the video, because this video is going to be very short, but then you got way more information in the free training. So the first thing you'll need to learn is basically the nitrogen cycle, or what we call the cycle of life. So it's not too complicated. The only thing you really need to understand is that in aquaponics, or in nature in general, nothing is lost, everything is transformed and recycled. So when you feed your fish, you have fish in aquaponics, when you feed them, you're going to add some organic matters into the setup. That's the fish food. And this fish food is going to be broken down into some particles, and one of them is called ammonia. Ammonia is toxic for the fish, but then you're going to have some bacteria that are present in the grow bed that are going to be able to transform this ammonia in nitrate. Nitrate is another particle, another molecule that is also toxic for the fish, but fortunately we got other types of bacteria that are going to transform this nitrate in nitrate. And the nitrate, this is the food for the plant, the fertilizer of the plant. So the plants are going to be able to absorb the waste of the fish, basically the waste of fish food, and they're going to be able to grow, and therefore they're going to purify the water, and the water that is going back to the fish tank is going to be purified, so really good for the fish. So that's the general principle of the nitrogen cycle and the cycle of life. In aquaponics, you will have to test your water at some point. test your water to make sure you don't have too much ammonia, you don't have too much nitrates, and you have enough nitrates. And you understand that to have this transition from those toxic to this fertilizer, you need some bacteria. So you need to have enough bacteria in your system, and they need to be in good condition to be able to do the job to transform those molecules in fertilizer for the plants. So there is a balance to have between the quantity of fish and the quantity of bacteria. And this is massively important when you design your setup and when you put your fish, when you stock your fish tank, because you need to make sure you have the good quantity of bacteria and the good quantity of fish. You don't want to have too many fish and not enough bacteria, otherwise your system is not going to work. The toxicity of your system is going to increase. The molecules, you know, the ammonia and the nitrates are going to increase in the system, and your fish are simply not going to survive. So it's crucial when you design your setup that you understand this general principle. It's a very basic principle, but you need to understand it. A mistake that we see way too often is that people want to grow fish. They are very focused on the fish. They don't really mind about the vegetables, and they design a setup with a huge fish tank and a very small grow bed, and they want to put as many fish as possible. Unfortunately, it's not balanced basically, and therefore the fish are too many. The bacteria are just a few bacteria, and they are not able to do the transformation, so basically filtration, biological filtration of the ammonia and nitrates into nitrates. Therefore, the concentration increase into the water and the fish die. Secondly, you need to build a little bit of knowledge about fish biology. So nothing too complicated, but you need to understand that a fish needs to have enough oxygen into the water because they breathe such as we breathe. We always got oxygen into the air. We are very lucky. We got around 20%, 20-21% oxygen in the air. This is not the case in the water. In the water, the concentration of oxygen can be more or less depending on a few factors. So again, go through the free training. I'm going to give you way more information. Here it's very light, but what I really want to tell you is that the fish need a good concentration of oxygen, and they need obviously a water that is kind of purified. So make sure you don't have too much ammonia and too much nitrate. So we come back to the first point to understand the nitrogen cycle. So every single species has got different criteria. So oxygen and ammonia nitrates, there is a maximum level that they can handle in terms of ammonia and nitrate, and there is a minimum concentration they can handle as well in terms of oxygen. Now also every single species of fish has got a specific pH. Generally in aquaponics we try to maintain it around 7 because it's good average, because in aquaponics we are not only growing fish, we are growing a whole ecosystem. So this whole ecosystem, all the different species, they got different expectations in terms of pH, but they have a range where they can live, and 7 is very, very often in the range of those different species. So if you have a pH of 7, you're going to be able to grow most species available for you. Then the fish, they also need a special temperature, and this is very, very crucial to understand. Don't try to grow a tropical fish in a cold country, and don't try to grow a cold water fish in a tropical country, right? Don't try to grow trout in the tropics, and don't try to grow tilapia if you live far in the north or far in the south, where the weather in winter can be very cold, when the water temperature goes below 10 degrees Celsius. So the third thing that you need to know is the plant biology. You know, you're going to grow some plants, you need to know a little bit about plants. Not being the best gardener in the world, but know what are the requirements of the plants. Obviously, they need some water, they need some fertilizer. When I say fertilizer, I'm talking about the nutrients. So, you know, the nitrates that are coming from this first cycle that we saw in the first point. But also they need some minerals. So just understand that they got those needs, and also they need some light, sunlight, and a specific temperature. So same as the fish, when you grow some vegetables, make sure that you have selected the good vegetables for the specific time of the year, but also for the area where you live. Fourth point, you need to know the bacteria needs. So you know that in aquaponics we work with bacteria, so we got fish in the fish tank, we got bacteria in the grow bed, and then we got plants, vegetables that are growing on top of the grow bed. But in the grow bed we got what we call a media, so this is some tiny rocks, and on those rocks we got some bacteria that are living, and they are really the key of the ecosystem. As you understood in the nitrogen cycle, we are going from fish food to nitrates, which is the fertilizer of the plant. But this transformation is made thanks to the bacteria. So those bacteria are very, very, very important. And they live here, so what they need to grow, they need a specific surface area, they need specific pH, and also they grow better in higher temperature, but we don't always control the temperature. So make sure that you got the pH that is right, and you offer them a good support to live on. So again, that's very important when you select your media. So we got some tricks to select the media. So when I am talking about media, I'm actually talking about the rocks that are in the grow bed, right? And those rocks, you can find rocks on the floor, right? You can find rocks everywhere, but they have some specific criteria. You don't want them to affect the pH of the water. You know, there are some stones, some rocks, such as limestone, that are going to increase the pH. So you don't want to put those stone inside your setup. Also, you don't want any chemical on the stone, so they need to be quite natural. You know, you don't want to take them on the side of the road because they will be polluted. And also, you want to make sure that those rocks offer a very high surface area. So when we talk about surface area, that's the external surface of the rock. If it's a smooth rock, the surface area is going to be limited, but if it's a rock that is porous, then you're going to have the surface of the outside of the rock, but even inside you're going to have some holes inside the rock, and so it's going to offer a very high surface area for your bacteria. So you need to make sure that your media, the media you are offering, is good for the bacteria and you offer enough surface area. You need to make sure that the water parameters are always in line with your fish needs. So it depends on the fish you have. You got different species of fish. They all have a different tolerance to pollution of ammonia and nitrates. So now, depending on the species you have, you need to make sure the water of your system is always good for the species of fish you have. It seems like a very basic thing, but we need to sometimes test the water of our aquaponics system. So to test the water, we take a little bottle of water, and with some reactive, we're going to have a look at what is the concentration of ammonia, what is the concentration of nitrates, and what is the concentration of nitrates. We can also test for the pH to make sure everything is in a good range. So it seems like a lot of work, but actually it's super easy to do. It takes 5 minutes, and you can do it once a week, and when you get used to it, you can do it less and less often because you know how your system is working. And generally, if you are doing things right, and if you have good population of fish, a good balance between the quantity of fish and the quantity of bacteria, then you don't need to do much. So again, for more information, have a look in the free training in the description of this video. I'm going to give you way more information on those points. Now, the last point that we need to see, the step number 6, is how to build your setup. So, okay, we see that we need to understand the general principle of aquaponics. We need to have some knowledge on the fish, on the vegetables, on the bacteria, on the water parameters. But what is important as well is the design of the actual system. So now that you understand that you need to have a balance between the quantity of fish and the quantity of bacteria, when you design your aquaponics system, you want to make sure you offer enough volume for your bacteria, right? Because if you don't have enough volume for the bacteria, you're not going to be able to stock a lot of fish, right? You're going to be very limited because the limit of the system is basically the capacity of the bacteria to transform the ammonia and also the nitrates into fertilizer for the plant. So that's basically the key. And this is represented by the grow bed. The volume of the grow bed is going to be basically the volume of media that you're going to be able to put in your system. And this quantity of media is going to determine the quantity of bacteria you can have. Basically, the volume plus the quality of the media, if you have a media that is very porous, it's going to determine the quantity of bacteria that you can have in your aquaponics system. And this is going to determine the quantity of fish that you can have. So what I recommend is always to have 50 liters of grow bed media, a media that is very efficient and very porous, per kilo of fish that you want to have. So it gives you an idea when you design your system, depending on the quantity of fish you want to have, then you know the volume of the grow bed you're going to design. Here we work with a simple grow bed aquaponics system, a flood and drain aquaponics system. And because it's very, very basic, all the water of the grow bed is going to flush into the fish tank at one point, because we have a specific system in the aquaponics setup, in the grow bed, that is going to be able to flush the water so that the water level in the grow bed is not constant, it's going up and down. Because the bacteria need a lot of oxygen. So we need to make sure that we give this oxygen to the bacteria. And there is no better way than to flush the water. So the bacteria that are in the water, then they become in contact with the atmosphere. And they are able to absorb the oxygen from the atmosphere. So they are able to breathe. So thanks to this bell siphon, we call it a bell siphon, that's the system that we use to flush the water. The water is going up and down, but that also means that the water that is flushed down is going to be collected by the fish tank, which means that the water level is going to go up and down as well. Sometimes it's going to receive the volume of water from the grow bed, and sometimes the grow bed is full, so the fish tank is at a low level, which means that you always need to have enough water in your fish tank for the fish to survive, right, to live in good conditions. But at the maximum as well, when the grow bed is flushing, you need to make sure you got enough volume in your fish tank to absorb all this quantity of water. That's why when you start aquaponics, when you design a grow bed system, I recommend to have a fish tank that is twice the size of the grow bed. In this case, you got enough room for your fish and you got enough water volume to be able to absorb the variation of the grow bed flush. So I give you way more information into the 6-step process guide. So again, get this guide in the description of the video just below. So once you get access to the free training, you will arrive to this page. And here you will have a detail of different steps. And each time you got a video or some description to really allow you to build some strong knowledge and to know and to learn the basics of aquaponics to avoid any mistakes. So just enter your email address and you will receive access to this training. Now we're going to go through the step-by-step process to put things in place. So we got 7 steps to put your aquaponics setup in place. So if you start from zero, if you have no knowledge, first step, okay, go to the training and get the 6th step to build your knowledge. So build your knowledge about aquaponics, about the nitrogen cycle, the cycle of life, the expectation of the fish, needs of the fish, plants needs, bacteria needs, water requirements, design of the setup. Once you understand all those things, then you try to get the equipment. So get a fish tank, get a grow bed. So you just need 2 tanks basically. It can be buckets of water if you want to start very small. I don't recommend starting too small because when you start very small, it's very difficult to manage. So if you don't want to fail, if you don't want to waste your time, start to do something that is at least 300 liters of water altogether. And the bigger and the better, the easier it is to basically manage the setup, to balance the population. So get the equipment you need. You need 2 tanks. You need a bell siphon. So a bell siphon is this little unit that is going to allow you to flush the water from the grow bed to the fish tank. So the bell siphon, you can buy them already made or you can build your own bell siphon. So that's up to you. Otherwise, you can work on the timer on your pump. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I made some free videos, so you can also watch them on my YouTube channel. But yes, you need this specific part. Then you need a water pump. So the water pump, again, if you go in the 6-step training, you're going to have some information about how to select your water pump. Very simple, but don't make the mistake of buying a water pump that is way too big and that is going to consume a lot of electricity for nothing. And then once you got all the equipment, you are ready to start. Now you can put fins together. So put the fish tank on the bottom, the grow bed on the top, put the bell siphon inside, put the water pump in the fish tank. Now you are ready to go. Point number 4, add the media. So you select your media thanks to the information I gave you before. In the 6 steps, you're going to have a very good trick to know how to select a good media, how to make sure it's not going to affect the pH of the water. So once you got this media, you add it into your grow bed. So you fill the grow bed with media. Point number 5, it's also detailed into the free training that is in the description of this video. It's basically to cycle the system. So you got the system that is in place. Now what you can do is to run the pump. So you plug the pump, and the water is going to start to circulate in your grow bed, flush down into your fish tank. But here you don't put the fish yet. You're going to cycle the system. So I made special videos about how to cycle an aquaponics setup. So I recommend you to watch the video and to get the information that is into the free training. So basically when you cycle the system, you're going to allow the bacteria to start to grow on the setup. So you're going to put a bit of fish food into the fish tank without fish, but this fish food is going to break down and is going to be a source of food for the bacteria. And you're going to grow your bacteria population. Point number 6, now you can test your water. So making sure that the water is correct in terms of parameters, and you don't have ammonia, you don't have nitrates, and you start to have a bit of nitrates. Point number 7, you can finally add your plants and add your fish in the aquaponics system. So this is how you start aquaponics. I think this video is quite simple. I didn't want to spend too much time because I don't like long videos on YouTube, it's not good. So short video, trying to keep it short, but you got all the required information in the 6-step process training. It's a free training, again, it's completely free. It's in the description of this video just below. So if you are thinking of starting aquaponics, that's the way to go. Just follow the steps and you're going to be able to produce some tasty food in your own backyard that is sustainable, that is completely healthy. It's good for you, for your family. You're going to have your own aquaponic system that you breed yourself. It's going to look good. It's going to be like something that you're going to be proud of. And you are also going to be able to enjoy a whole ecosystem in your backyard, being able to see the vegetables, the fish, but also the insects around, all this life that is living around. So it's super interesting. So I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget, you need to get this free guide. It's in the description of this video just below, or in the corner of the video. You're going to find an I, like information. And if you click on this I, you're going to be able to get this free training. If you don't find the I, just get in the description of the video. It's very inspiring to watch some good videos. But the best thing is to do things, right? So please read your setup and be part of the movement, and let's change the world. So if you enjoy this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe. I'm going to release one video every week.
Don't forget to get your free gift from this screen. You can also leave me a comment below the video, subscribe to the channel, and see my last video. I really hope to see you soon, and I wish you a fantastic success with aquaponics. Have a good crop!